Y'all remember when I was telling y'all about the mail carrier, the postal worker that got killed on their job in Chicago because they robbing them for their master keys, and now they've gotten so bold and brazen to where they're basically taking their lives because they have no regard for human life. Well, guess what? It was a 15-year-old boy that decided to take the life of that mail carrier that they now caught.
Great to have you with us. I'm Joe Donlin.
And I'm Erica Sargent. More than 2 months after the shooting death of a postal worker on the city's south side, police tell us they found her killer in another state.
Our investigator Megan Hickey joins us live now from the post office in Roseland, where Octavia Redmond worked. And Megan, her friends and family were stunned by the news of this arrest today.
Right, they tell me not a day has gone by that they have not thought of Octavia Redmond, who was a very familiar and friendly face here. They still want to know why all of this happened, and they're still fighting for safety improvements for letter carriers.
And now we got to relive it again.
Letter carrier Elise Foster tells me she got the call about an arrest early this morning.
I talked to her husband, Demetrius Redmond, and that's my first call, let him know that my heart goes out to him and that, you know, it's a step in the right direction.
48-year-old Octavia Redmond was fatally shot multiple times while delivering mail in West Pullman on July 19th. The shooter's getaway vehicle was found abandoned and torched in the middle of a South Side field. This surveillance video was the only look we had at the shooter, showing someone getting into a Dodge Durango before the shooting and then running across the street and out of view of cameras after shots were fired. CPD said they tracked this suspect down to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where the 15-year-old was arrested on Monday.
It will never bring her back, that you know, it's a step in the right direction, that someone will pay for the vicious crime that they did.
Redmond's colleagues and Roseland customers alike.
This has been my post office for 48 years.
Were relieved and saddened.
When children commit adult crimes, then that's a whole different story, and it involves all of us because we are parents.
The boy was promptly extradited back to Chicago to face 1 count of first-degree murder. In juvenile court today, he was held in custody, and a follow-up hearing was set for November 1st.
You know, he took a life. Now his life is potentially going to be gone, you know, for the murder. And why? That's a question I'm asking. We all asking why. Why her? What did she do?
And Redmond's death reignited safety concerns here and across the city for letter carriers. Her colleagues are hoping that new legislation could bring some improvements. We'll have much more on that coming up at 6. But for now, live in Roseland, Megan Hickey, CBS News.
I think that people keep trying to make sense of something that's not sensible. You can't make sense of something that's not sensible. Monsters don't negotiate with civilians. Monsters are not trying to convince you and make sense of it. They don't think and be like, oh man, I don't want to take this person's life because I'm thinking about their family. You know what they do? Monsters do what monsters do. They kill people over nothing. They run to a different state. They never thought about what the consequences was going to be for the family or for themselves. And so that's why a monster is called a monster. It's almost like jealousy. Like, it's crueler than the grave, and it's something that you'll never be able to understand. So, you know, all you're going to do is wreck your brain trying to make sense of it instead of trying to control it and lock monsters up where they need to be locked up. Unfortunately, you're talking about a 15-year-old, meaning that the monster begat a monster. It was somebody else that had and raised that monster, and they probably was trying to protect them. And you trying to make sense of evil. You'll never be able to make sense of evil, ever. In addition to that, all right, staying in Chicago, people are debating whether or not Shotspotter, right? We know that crime is up. They keep trying to tell us, no, crime is down. We're going to figure it out. No, it's not. It's up. And one of the people was a 19-year-old woman or girl that was murdered in Chicago, and they didn't even discover her body until way later when a neighbor was walking a dog and just decided to walk up on the body, and it just so happened to be this 19-year-old girl. And one of the things that's at the forefront of this is the removal of ShotSpotter, while at the same time, Brandon Johnson just recently signed a $100 million new contract. In addition to the contracts that he've already spent and paid, the almost $1 billion that they've already spent on the migrant crisis, but yet they took away ShotSpotter, which helped assist the police department and help keep residents safe by being able to identify when crime is taking place, for them to be able to sort through, because they already short 2,000 police officers. And so this is causing a ripple effect in Chicago residents and legislators are debating over why Brandon Johnson, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, used his executive action to be able to take away Shotspotter.
Well, decommissioning of the city's Shotspotter system is being blamed for the death of a woman over the weekend on the southeast side. The victim's family, as well as a Chicago alderman, believe the woman stood a greater chance of being found alive if the city hadn't canceled that system.
And WGN's Dana Revick is at City Hall, joining us now with more on this story. Dana?
The family of Sierra Evans is busy planning her funeral, also a vigil that will be held tomorrow night. But they have already voiced concerns over the extended amount of time it took for her body to be discovered, as city aldermen are now also weighing in on the loss of Shotspotter.
Obviously, we're going to find justice for her. We need to know who did this.
The family of 19-year-old Sierra Evans and city leaders speaking out on a tragedy they feel may have been avoided had Shotspotter still been active near the scene of her murder.
Peter Chico, the alderman of the 10th Ward, think he remembered that there was a Shotspotter in that area, so he reached out to Sound Thinking and said, hey, is there still a Shotspotter there, and did it ping, although it's not attached to the police department anymore? And they did their due diligence, and yes, it did, and it pinged at 12:56 a.m.
Evans' body found in an alley in the 9500 block of South Avenue N in the East Side neighborhood 9 hours later near Claudia Romo's yard on Saturday morning.
That comes to show that we should not take anything like that off. It should be more instead of less, because you never know when it's going to happen. People that want to kill people are paying attention to stuff like that.
I mean, it's terribly unfortunate when there's any loss of life, especially a young life. As we think about Shotspotter, there were a number of us who had concerns about it being the best deal for the city, the best product for the city.
Alderman Andre Vasquez, who has been vocal against Shotspotter and Sound Thinking, its parent company, feels the city is now in a vulnerable position.
If we knew that we were looking to remove Shotspotter, we should have had a task force in place, a request for proposal, a competitive bid to identify what comes next, so you don't have any gap in between services.
But at least CPD would have been on the scene and CFD would have been there, whatever, to try to save her.
As the family grieves, we learned of yet another shooting less than a mile away at 2 o'clock this morning. A man shot in the chest, now in critical condition.
And just like today, you saw something happening, they feel comfortable about going back and shooting again.
I just want to know, like, why? Like, why is this happening? Like, the family did.
Well, listen, it ain't even nothing else to talk about and nothing else to discover. There's nothing else to talk about. It's blame to go around for everybody. It's blame to go around for the culture and how bad and toxic it is. It's blame to go around to the mayor and the legislators for actually defunding the police and defunding tools for the police, while at the same time supporting the migrant crisis. It's blame to go around for the residents to basically advocate and vote for the people that's removing the tools to keep y'all safe. Y'all voted for Brandon Johnson. I don't know how many times I got to tell y'all that. This is not new. You voted for your own demise. I don't feel sorry for Chicago. I don't feel sorry for Oakland. I don't feel sorry for New York. When they came in and they let all of these migrants and they worked with the Democratic Party, and y'all still voting for these people. We got a presidential election right now where people are sitting there telling me, well, you know what? I'm not even going to vote because it don't even matter. And one of the people that told me that was one of the very people that's living in Chicago, talking about how they complaining about crime and what they legislators is doing. How you going to say that you're not voting and you don't really care and you don't care to inform yourself? And then at the same time, in the same conversation, you sitting there complaining about whether or not they removing certain things from your neighborhood and why they should be. You can't complain about something that you got the power to control. And it ain't just the legislators. The legislators is a reflection of the people. If I see bad legislators, if I see bad people in office that's governing over you, whether it's the governor, the mayor, the city council, or whatever, they are a reflection of the people that voted for them. You reap what you sow. The seeds that you sow, it either is going to bring some thorns or it's going to bear fruit. That's just the reality. Stop complaining about something that you got control over. And then last but not least, the Bronx. Crime is rising in the Bronx. Check it out.
Even though murders have gone down in the 48th and 52nd precincts, they have more than doubled in the 46th precinct. Shooting incidents have increased in all three of them.
It's hard.
A shot to the head instantly killed Evanly Vargas' son, 29-year-old Devante Serrano. It happened just steps away from his home near East 182nd Street and Mapes Avenue in the Bronx Sunday afternoon.
The guy was gonna kill me, and he came, and look what happened to him.
26-year-old Herman Gale, who police sources tell us turned himself in on Monday, was charged with murder and criminal possession of a weapon. Friends and family of Serrano say they didn't know each other.
He came with his bike behind me. He blocked me. I'm like, hello, you don't see me here? So he started talking crazy, calling me names. So Devante came and told him, say sorry to my mom. He just got on his phone and said, bring my gun down.
Another New York City.
So it was a confrontation, and instead of people walking away and keeping it moving, somebody came in and said, hey man, you better apologize to my mom. And then it went up from there. I don't know how many examples I got to share with y'all. I don't know how many times I got to tell y'all to stay away from crash dummies. Ain't nobody talking no more. The migrants got guns. The 15-year-olds got guns. Ain't no, look, I know a lot of y'all been taught, be strong from the rules of the game is different now. It used to be only the big shots and the big dogs was able to secure the pistols and stuff like that. And people was afraid of the police and getting caught and dying and going to jail and all of that stuff. Ain't nobody scared of nothing no more. Nobody is scared of you. I don't care if you 7 feet tall. I don't care if you a dwarf. Nobody gives a flying F anymore. The rules of the game is different. You're going to have to learn to play chess, not checkers.